Hi. All right. Looks like we're back and ready to get started. So here I've got an 820-3115 board that appears to be dead. We're going to try to figure out why it's dead and if it's dead due to a short circuit. I'm also going to revisit that $900 thermal imaging thing that I reviewed earlier. I put a link in the description below. In my opinion, for iPhone boards, it seems like a great way to piss away $900. But I'm curious if on a MacBook board, if it would be able to find anything. So let's just try and figure out what's going on with this board, first and foremost, and get set up with it. Put my headphones on the side here, and on my Windex, because that's what's professional. I was humming Christmas music. I still have Christmas music stuck in my head. I like Christmas music. All right, so this is the 820-3115. So let's get started on our board view and schematic over here. So our board looks fairly clean. So we're going to plug this thing in and get started. Turn on my power supply here. And it looks like it's drawing 0.02 amps at 18.5 volts, which is dead. So we're going to go to the page that's got the power rails, and we're going to go from there. So you're using OBS. Yes, I have been using that since 2015. Before then, I actually used to open up separate FFmpeg windows using some, I think, Parallel or something like that, or some program that allowed me to run 3 processes at the same time. And I would separately capture everything and then edit it together later. Awful. Absolutely and utterly awful. So now I'm going to go over the basic power rails here. I do got a green light, which means I don't got to go over PP3V42. Now, I do have the multimeter back on screen, so you'll be able to see it. I can't really I can't change the color of the text, so I'm not bothering to green screen out or chroma key out the green around it, because if I do, the black text is never going to show up. So first thing we got to do is find PP bus G3 hot. So that's going to be, I'm going to copy and paste this directly. And that shows up right over here. So we're going to find that on our little beautiful board over here. And 12.6 volts. That's exactly what we're looking for. Next up on the list, we're going to be good. I don't need PP18V5 DC in. If we didn't have the DC in connector, it wouldn't be working. PP3V42, we don't need that because we have a green light on the charger. As you can see here, it's a nice little shiny green light, and if you pay attention to these videos with any regularity, you would know that in order for the charger over here, this adapter sense line, to talk to the system management controller on the sys one-wire line through this chip, that must occur through U6901. So this is the SMC, System Management Controller over here. In order for this to talk to the charger, this chip needs to work. In order for this chip over here to work, this chip over here needs to work. And for that to work, you need PP3V42. So I naturally know that that's already there. We don't need. Lewis, you said the government is shut down is over. I am. It really had a lasting impact on my life. Oh yeah. Totally destroyed my life knowing that the government was shut down today. I was broken up into utter shambles. So, next up is PPV RTC G3 hot. We're going to check that out and see what's going on there. First, we're going to turn off this cancer of allowing Facebook to send notifications to my browser. All right. Turn back the microscope. gonna go over here. And where is that section where we're supposed to see that? So you got two big caps, these two, and at this intersection we should see Pepe VRTC G3 hot, which according to the schematic is 3 volts, and we're getting 3.3. Jess is trolling me. We're just going to ignore that. We're going to ignore Jessa trolling me like she trolls every single stream. Now, we're going to move over here and check out Pepe 5V S5. And it looks like we do get 5 volts, but then it goes down from there. And the screen software is actually so crappy that it can't update in real time. So if you were looking at my multimeter, you would see it going back and forth between 5 and 3 and 5 and 3. And we're going to see if we can make the screen software respond a little bit faster, because that is a joke. Yeah, that's pretty sad. That is very, very sad. Serial. Go Serial. Serial is so lame. It's so lame. Let's see, maybe it'll go faster now so you can see the pulsing. And now it doesn't work at all. Why'd you touch it? Never touch things that work. You'll just make them worse. Let's try this again. The software is angry now. Okay, there we go. Meh. Alright, yeah. Well, you'll just have to trust me that it's going up and down, because that software has a refresh rate of negative hertz. Have you ever seen Electronic Repair School? That guy is so off, I can't believe it. That's a really generic name. It's a very generic name, so I'm not quite sure. Okay. Next up on the list. So here's the thing. I'm kind of curious, why is my PP5ES5 going up, down, up, down, up, down? I want to check on what chip creates those rails. So we're going to search for PP5ES5. Seems like that's created by U7200. Now, U7200 has quite a few responsibilities here if you look closely. You'll see that U7200 also creates PP5ES3 reg. So, what's up with that? Why don't we have so maybe something around this chip is shorted. So the first thing I'm going to do is turn off the power from the power supply, because you can never measure for a short circuit while there's power going through. And we're going to turn the multimeter over to ohms mode. And the first thing I want to do is see if PP5ES5 is shorted to ground at that point. And it looks like over here we are getting 6.5 million ohms. This software is really killing me. It says open line, even though my meter says something clearly different. Boo. Thank you to B&K for a $160 multimeter that works like something I would expect out of the 1980s. I don't mean that in a good way. Like, that's really sad. Anyway, so we're going to move on and check a different rail. So PP5ES3 is also created by this IC, so perhaps if one of the rails is shorted, then all of the rails that this IC creates would be turned on and off simultaneously. So let's check over here and see what we get on C4696, which is PP5ES3, which is yet one of the other rails that the same IC creates. We're going to take the cabinet on resistance mode, black probe on ground, and red probe to the positive end of this capacitor, and it looks like we get 0.00, which means direct short circuit to ground on PP5ES3. Now, a direct short circuit to ground on PP5ES3 would explain why it is we have no power. Now, what I'm interested in is, can this little $900 thermal imager actually find that? And we went through this. We've used this tool on the iPhone in the very long, drawn-out review below, and long story short, I think this thing is worth a solid $100, maybe, and not the 900 it sells for. And I stand by that decision in spite of the update from the company selling it. But what I'm going to do is we're just going to give it a shot here. Maybe it's not great for cell phone stuff because everything is really small and close together, but maybe it'll be decent on a MacBook. So I'm going to just give it an opportunity here to redeem itself on a MacBook. Do keep in mind, even if it is able to find a short circuit on a MacBook, just to be 110% clear, there is no way on God's green earth I would ever suggest someone spend $900 on something, on a camera that's has the resolution very similar to the original Game Boy. Especially, some kind of thermal camera for stuff like this. You can always find a short circuit the good old-fashioned way, using some alcohol or, like I've occasionally used compressed air upside down, turn it into freeze spray. So we're going to see what this thing can do. I gotta move this little Cat 5 wire out of the way. This used to be the wire for the phone, but I have no space for the phone on my desk, so I'm using it for this instead. And we're gonna check this thing out. Now let's see if I can add this little piece of software onto the screen so that you can then see it. Did you see the response video to your video of the thermal cam? It was something about, I didn't use a particular feature that they wanted me to use, but it doesn't really make a difference because even if you use that feature, it's still really, really, really useless. So I'm going to take this off, and we're going to add a window. So let's just go ahead and add ourselves a window capture. Thermal. Huh? Uh-oh. What'd I do? All right. We're going to add this. Give me one moment. It's the holidays. Okay, so we're going to put this under here. And let's see if we can find a short circuit on this board. Okay, so let's see. Can I make this take up the whole screen? I suppose not. Nah. Disable camera view, use thermal view only. So we've got visible light, and we've got infrared. That thing costs $900 indeed. Don't forget to press the magic button that doesn't look like a button. Jess is trolling me about a Microscope review that I did that it kept turning off, and apparently they decided to place a button somewhere that screws it up or makes it not work. That doesn't look like a button. I don't know why people send me stuff to review at this point. They should know what they're getting into, but they know what they're signing up for. So let's see if we can find a short circuit anywhere here. So to keep in mind, I'm not actually applying 5 volts to the 5 volt rail that's shorted. All I'm doing is I just have the charger plugged in. The link for this is not working in your summary. Well, I appreciate it. Unfortunately, that's not something I would be able to fix at the moment, since I'm fixing a board at the moment. but I appreciate you telling me. But sadly, after the stream is done, I'll likely forget. Let's see. Do any of these links in this description actually work? Oh, it actually does work. Huh. Yeah, it does work. You're screwing with me. You know what? You're timeout for you. Sorry, for all I know, you're telling the truth, but it didn't work. All right, so let's see. Oh, I just heard a noise, but I can't see anything. I should put this up so I can see what that was. TCRS's FLIRs suck for pinpointing the exact shorted component. It gives me the general area, then I spray alcohol to see what's going on. It does save a little time, so you don't have to feel around the whole board. All right, so now the only thing that's actually getting warm is this. But this is supposed to get warm. That's the charger I see. And that also doesn't have any path to PP5ES5, so that can't possibly be it. That's not the problem at all. So what I would do at this point, since there's no way to tell what is actually shorted here, is I'm going to send voltage to the 5-volt rail. So on this machine, the 5-volt rail is shorted, which is right here. And we are going to send voltage from the power supply. So I'm going to have my power supply deliver a volt, and I'm going to connect that into the board using some wire here that is going to attach from the power supply to the board. So I'm going to solder it on there. I'm going to solder one end to ground and the other end to PP5ES3, and we're going to see if we notice anything getting warm. So let's get that started. And obviously I'm going to change the voltage on this so that it is not at 18 volts, because if I send 18 volts into the 5-volt rail, well, that's just not going to go well. Ever think of doing collabs with Review Bra? Not really. I haven't thought about doing collaborations with anybody, actually. But not much. Alright, so let's get a wire soldered to PP5VS3. This is a nice point over here to solder that on. Would be great if I waited for the iron to get warm. Those are Grados. Those are actually Alessandro MS1s. Slightly more neutral, a little bit more dampened version of the SR125, which is an excellent headphone. It's one of my favorites of all time. But they're not closed, so you can't use them. I see people walking around New York using them, and I have no idea how you use a headphone that's completely open back in New York. I don't know how people even hear their music without playing it at a volume which would make them instantly deaf. But I got them because I wanted to do a Discord, and I put the link in the description. I want to get something where we can have like trusted members, be in on the board repair or a part of the stream. But I just have to figure out how to set all that stuff up, and I haven't made the time yet. But I figured I should at least try to get a following for it, which is why I put the link in the description. And we may be able to have fun with that on later streams. Alright, that wire's way too long. We can shorten that. Can you link the headphone in the description? I will try to remember after stream. Thermal cameras is a joke. Yeah, kinda. So let's... this wire is killing me. Here we go from the top. How about this? Really should have not been lazy and used my tweezer to hold the wire rather than my finger. Alright, so now we're going to inject some voltage into this board, and we're going to switch ourselves back to this view. We're going to put that little camera on the desk and see what we find. Now, I haven't set it up to inject any voltage in just yet. What's the purpose for the joystick-like metal thing? I don't know what you mean when you say joystick-like metal thing, I'm afraid. If you can be more specific, I will try and get you an answer, though. So, I haven't put any voltage in. And obviously the area with the wire is warm because I just used the soldering iron on it, but that is not necessarily indicative of anything being wrong. All right, so output. Now we're going to start with 1.5 volts, and it seems like it's putting out absolutely nothing. All right, so we're going to up voltage. And wait a second, it's not outputting anything because I haven't plugged it into the power supply. That was dumb. That was dumb. All right, we're going to lower the voltage back to 1.5. That was pretty dumb. Okay, 1.5 volts, 2.8 amps. So something is going to get burning. What's burning? And it looked like what's burning is down here. My God. All right, you can see it. This lighting up. All right. I'm with you on setting the scale correct. I remember last time. Well, you don't have to set the scale here. The thing is, it's supposed to automatically set the scale. Again, you can always kind of screw with it a little bit. Let's see if I can set this up so I can see chat on that at the same time. Yeah, okay, I'm going to shrink this so I can see everything. Okay, the audio I see is a bit hot, but this is actually what's really burning. Something around here. Now, the thing that sucks about this is that there's no zoom. Yeah, let's just get rid of automatic temperature range. Get rid of everything below a certain amount. See? So we have this. But you can't zoom. And that's the sad part. That's what makes this thing like truly, after you spend the $900 on this thermal camera, what you need to do is, you know, use alcohol, which is the sad part. So as you can see, something in this general vicinity is warm. That's what this is telling me. It's telling me that something in this area is warm. And if I were to stretch this out a bit so that, you know, maybe let's see if I can just, it's going to get all pixelated if I do this, but yeah. You could see that something around here is warm. Maybe this capacitor, but this is why I think this stuff is useless. Like, this is why when people are like, Lewis, you need to get a thermal camera. Lewis, you need a thermal camera. Lewis, you be professional with a thermal camera. I just laugh at you, you know. And $900 for that. Okay, great. It tells me the short is somewhere over here, right? Somewhere over there. But you know what else is going to tell me that the short is somewhere over there? Alcohol. And you can get alcohol at the corner store for $1, $2, 65 cents, depending on where you are. And watch, it'll tell you what is shorted with more accuracy. So what we can do here is we can up the voltage just a tiny bit. So it's more obvious what's wrong. So watch, now you could probably tell as well as I can that the short circuit is this cap because the liquid leaves that cap first. So if you already have a microscope, all you need is a tiny little container of alcohol, and you could tell that this cap is the shorted cap immediately without having to do anything else. So the $900 tool told me that the vicinity of the short circuit was over here. That's what the $900 tool told me. Now, the alcohol, which I got from the corner store for a few dollars, was able to tell me that the short circuit was precisely that capacitor and not anything else around it. So we're going to take the hot air station right now and remove that, and hopefully that will solve our problem. Let's take a look and see if that's the case. It's going to go like this and say bye. We can zoom in on that cap so you can get a better look. People like Jessa would use visual cues as well, so I want to make sure that you can see the visual cues that would also obviously point out that this cap is messed up. So we're going to zoom a little, hopefully get that in focus for you. Bam. Take that cap right off. Now we're just going to wait a little. Is Lewis swearing tonight? No. Lewis has stayed true to the New Year's resolution of not cursing on any new videos or live streams. So, and no, you can stop laughing now. I'm serious about that. So we're going to see if we have a short to ground still by putting the multimeter back on the screen in ohms mode. And we're going to check that area. So there are 2 caps over there, and one of the top side is going to be PP5ES3. And I would happen to bet that we've... Oh, okay. Lame. Let's see. Range. Let's fix the range of the meter. Let's check and see if we're still shorted. Check the range again. Put it into kilo ohms mode. Alright, we're at 800 ohms, 900 ohms. And the software is not showing anything. There we go. Yeah, 0.916K. So that is 900 ohms or so. What happened? The Titanic. What? Are you talking about Telcoin?
No, the Titanic at the end, remember?
Oh. I can't stop thinking of that. Oh my God. There's this one particular video from this comedian Owen Benjamin about why Rose from the Titanic was the worst human ever. And in the middle of the day, sometimes we'll stop what we're doing just to laugh and observe that moment. Oh, man. YouTube's monetization rules. This has nothing to do with YouTube's rules. YouTube can keep its 20 or 30 bucks a day. This is about me. Okay. Let's find a board that still has one of those on it. Fairly certain that most of them would have been removed by now. Jessa, do you think this pump and dump KuCoin thing, this coin that was listed today that starts with, I think it's TNC or TMC, it's going to be any good? KuCoin keeps doing this thing where they pump and dump by offering people a Tesla or a Porsche or like 5 Bitcoin for everybody who buys something. And sometimes it manages to be, obviously it's a complete pump and dump. You know, this whole idea that you get a bunch of people to run in and buy something under the idea that if they buy in, they enter a chance to win something. But they seem to go up each time. Someone I know went for Telcoin, bought in when it was 0.6 cents. Then it went up to like 1 cent and he didn't sell. Noob. Alright. So now we're going to see if we get a fan spin. So I'm going to show you a fan. And we're going to see if after all this is done, if we have a fan that spins. But I bet we do. I bet that we do. Let's go. Alright, so we're going to turn this on and nothing. Wait, the power supply is still set to 2 volts. Whoops. Alright, let's just put that up to 18 now. And hey! Fan spin! fan spin, we win. So that's great. That works. That's awesome. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. And again, if you want to spend $900 on a thermal cam, you want to spend $900 on a short detector, be my guest. But that is the effectiveness of it in contrast to your standard old alcohol method. And even if you do mess with the settings and change everything around, yeah, I'll stick to my little bottle of alcohol, and I'm going to be doing a review video. I really hope to publish this by the end of the week because I've already put about 3 or 4 hours of editing and testing into this video. But we're going to be doing a review of the Moto G4 versus the Samsung S7. Yeah, I know they're old phones, but I want to get across this idea. I want to really get across to the average user whether or not it's worth spending an extra $400 on the top of the line flagship phone versus one of the cheaper or second cheapest lines that another manufacturer has. In terms of, is it faster? Does it get better cellular reception? Does it do better with voice? Does it do better in handling apps when you're moving back and forth fast? Does it charge faster? All these little things that, how does it work when you're scrolling around Google Maps or when you're outside and you want to get an Uber really quick because it's cold? Will the cheap phone slow you down versus the expensive one? How are they visible in daylight? Because I remember the HTC Sensation 4G, which was that phone was actually a flagship, and you could barely see that in sunlight. If you're in a basement or you're someplace where you're not going to have good cellular service, will the cheaper phone that's cost $180 give you lower bandwidth than the $600 flagship phone with that same service and SIM card? There's a lot of questions that I'd like to answer in this video instead of just going over it and going, this phone has a bezel, and I don't like bezels because I'm a tech reviewer that sets fashion, and I don't like bezels, and the back feels cheap. I'd much rather they replace that nice back with a user-replaceable battery with some unibody crap design so that I could say it looks nicer while screwing over everybody that wants to keep it longer than a year. I hate the way tech reviews are, and I know that I'm probably not going to get much in terms of view count from this video. Like my Lenovo review only had, I think, 30 or 40,000 views compared to like the tech reviewers that are getting like 3 to 10 million. But I look at those videos. I'm not going to mention any of them by name. I like Jerry Rig Everything's, by the way, but I look at a lot of the other ones, and I genuinely could not make a choice on what to buy because what they talk about, I could not give 2 S's of an F about. See, I'm still keeping my New Year's resolution. They don't tell me anything that I actually want to know about whether the device is useful for me. It's just, this has this Polycom processor, and this one has a larger bezel, and this one is this thin. And it's like, I don't care. Anyway, that's it. And yeah, see you in the next video.